Despite Rocket League being out for over 5 years now, there is still a steady influx of new players, and this will increase even more when it goes free to play in the near future. So, despite whether you're new or a Supersonic legend, there is always a few things and tips to improve upon, as there is no such thing as mastering or perfecting this game. With this in mind, I decided it would be a good idea to put together an ultimate tip guide for new and old players alike, as the meta has changed significantly over the past few years, and is a good way for everyone to either ensure they're keeping up with it, or is a good introduction for any new players starting the game out. Just before we dive on in, I wanted to give a huge thank you to everyone who supported the channel over the past few weeks. We've had some insane growth, and it's actually really humbling to see you are all enjoying the content. So if you want to see more, be sure to subscribe. It's free, so you've got nothing to lose. To make it easy for everyone to find the tips they need, I've created multiple different sections covering most of the important areas. These are settings, training, mechanics and skills, offense, defense, general gameplay tips, and finally, rotation and positioning. I won't be able to cover everything, and I've surely missed some really good tips, so be sure to let myself and everyone else know in the comments some extra ones you find really helpful. As this is going to be jam-packed full of tips, I'll end the intro here. So without further ado, let's jump into the first section, settings. So before you do anything, you want to make sure you have both good camera and controller settings. Both are entirely personal preference, although there is a consensus as to what are classified good settings in the high and pro ranks. Camera settings akin to these are extremely common, so use this as a basis and experiment from there. I also suggest not using the default control bindings and changing boost to R1, power slide and air roll to L1, and air roll left and or right to square, triangle or circle, just because it makes certain skills a lot easier to learn later on. You also want your sensitivity settings somewhere around these values and your dead zones floating around these. Like before, it's the ideal or sweet spot for gameplay, but definitely experiment until you find what is comfortable. You also must turn camera shake off. It might look cool, but trust me, you don't want your screen shaking like an earthquake every time you land or bump into something. Lastly, you want to scroll across your video settings and turn off all these graphical effects except for transparent goalposts, which you should leave on. This helps with visibility and allows you to see outside the goalpost when you're inside, whereas with it off, you cannot. If you're on console, turn VSYNC off. It may add a little screen tearing, but the input lag it adds is absolutely ridiculous. I cannot stress this enough, so just try it with it on and off and you will definitely see what I'm talking about. I also have videos on both camera and control settings, so for a more in-depth analysis and explanation, be sure to go check them out. When it comes to improving, it is nearly impossible to get better without utilizing the various training features. Free play, despite how simple it seems, is absolutely amazing to improving just about every area of mechanical skill. From reads to power shots to dribbles, it gives you free reign to practice just about anything you want. A good rule of thumb is also to spend a minute of free play for every minute in game. Additionally, you can also use training packs to drill more specific mechanics and skills, and I have a video for the best training packs if you need some good ones to get you started. When doing the packs, simply completing the shot isn't enough, you must try to perfect it. This means spending 10 or more attempts on each shot and telling yourself where you want to hit it and with how much power before you even do it. Additionally, for the newer players, be sure to go through their starter tutorial packs. They run you through the basics and are a great way to get started before diving into games or further training. For those of you on PC, at this time I'm unsure, but hopefully workshop maps are compatible with the Epic Games Store. If so, there are some great challenges to drill mechanics further, such as Lethamir's dribbling challenge. Training is extremely underrated, especially for newer players, so try to dedicate a specific amount of time, anywhere from 25 to 50% of your PlayStation to it, and you'll improve much faster than just by playing. So in this section I will cover some stable mechanics and give a brief tutorial of them. Firstly, we have the half flip, and this allows you to get yourself out of sticky situations when you are facing backwards, whilst also keeping momentum. To do this, you must first do a flip cancel, which involves backflipping, and then as soon as it flips, pushing the stick upwards to cancel your flip. As soon as you've cancelled, press air roll left or right to do a barrel roll and you should end up facing the right way. Next, we have the fast aerial, which is the quickest way to aerial. Firstly, you have to jump and then pull the stick back and then let go of the stick and jump again. You can boost the entire way throughout, thanks to having boost on R1 rather than circle, so give it a try. Here is a brief comparison of a fast aerial compared to a normal aerial to show you how much faster it is. A wave dash is extremely useful to move around the field and is also extremely simple. It involves jumping, rocking your car back and then rocking it forward when you land. The important thing being is that you click jump right when your back two wheels touch the ground. This should give you a little speed boost and is a great way to recover off walls and to gain speed with little to no boost. Lastly, we have power shots and clears. In order to get the most power on your shots, you must flip the front or corner of your car into the ball. This can be combined with a half volley, which is when the ball bounces just after it hits the ground, to send the ball across the entire field. Don't cheap out on this, as it comes in extremely handy to relieve pressure and put unsavable shots on net. The most important concept on offense is that not every shot has to be a goal. Rocket League offense is about pressure and maintaining it until a good opportunity opens up, so just because you missed, don't throw in the towel. In support of this, try to utilize the back wall as a method of passing or intentionally missing a shot, forcing a defender to jump for the save, and then your teammate can put a follow-up shot on net. Moreover, you can also do something called crossing your opponent over. This involves driving the ball at an angle perpendicular or at right angles to the defender, giving them only one opportunity to challenge, meaning it is a lot easier to get it past them. You can also cut across the ball to give it extra power and momentum, compared to driving straight into it. Hitting it with your nose at an angle like this gives it a lot of speed, and can catch your opponents off guard if you place it well. Okay, so for all the new players out there, don't be that guy that just sits in net and plays dedicated goalie. Defense in Rocket League is not like soccer. You should only be in net for a few seconds at a time, which is when it's your turn to clear and or save the ball. This leads into the second point, which is to rotate back post. What I mean by this is to rotate to the post furthest from the play. This means that the ball can only be shot in front of you, allowing you to continue momentum whilst rotating in net for a few seconds and clearing the ball away. Compared to if you're in the middle of the net or near post, the ball can either go in front or behind you, making you stop there and be unsure whether you have to accelerate or reverse, and it's just really not ideal overall. Lastly, one of the most important defensive skills in the game is shadow defense. This essentially involves you mimicking your opponent's attacking movements whilst defending. This is so crucial because it means that anything they try, you can counter because you are driving in the direction they are going to shoot the ball. Compared to if you come from the opposite side or are crossed over, you have to intercept the ball, making it exponentially harder. A massive issue that I see, especially at the lower ranks, is that players boost when they are already supersonic, as boosting adds virtually no extra speed to your car. You can tell if you are supersonic by looking to see if there is a little trail behind you. Additionally, you should also try to utilize as many small boost pads as possible, removing a reliance on large pads. You can easily pick up 50 boosts by driving over 4 pads, giving you enough boost for a play and preventing you from having to drive the entire way back for big boost. The next thing is that you shouldn't be afraid to make errors. If you're afraid to whiff or to mess up, then you won't improve, so take risks. By the same token, you have to learn from your errors and mistakes. If you do whiff or stuff up, ask yourself why and try to rectify it for the next time around. Like I touched on before, there is no dedicated positions or goalies or strikers in the game. Every person plays every position simultaneously. One play, someone will defend and clear the ball to another person on attack, whereas in the very next play, it could be the complete opposite. Rocket League is a dynamic game, so unlike many sports, try to dissociate from the idea of specified positions. Lastly, play some 1v1. It can be extremely tilting, as we can see here in Exhibit A, Professional Player Scrub Killer. But on the flip side, it can also be extremely rewarding, as every decision, mistake, and opportunity is on you. You mess up, your fault. You score, it's your good work. You concede, it's your fault again. It forces you to rectify every single aspect of your gameplay, so give it a go. Rotation is a lot harder to understand and teach, and is developed more through experience. However, there is a few tips I can give you. Firstly, try to be aware of your teammates. If they are going towards the ball, don't also go or result in a double commit, and if no one is going, you probably should challenge. Moreover, try to space around the field. A good idea is to sit on the 45-degree angle behind the play, so that if the ball spills out, you have good field coverage to go and mop it up. You should also not be afraid to rotate wide and do a big loop, as it gives a clear indication to your teammates that you either need boost or want them to challenge. Driving along the path of the ball or close to it makes it hard for your teammates to know whether you're actually going to turn and challenge or not, so make it clear through your car language and rotation. To further this point, don't hang around the ball. Once you have challenged and of no further use, rotate out and get some boost, letting another teammate go or go back to defense. Knowing when to stop pressuring to prevent overcommits is key. so try to identify instances when this occurred in your games. Alrighty guys, so that wraps up my best Rocket League tips in 2020. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe for future content and to help support the community. As always, I hope you learned something new and I helped a few of you out, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Cheers.